Today, City Guides goes to the heart of Toronto, an area marked by academia with the University of Toronto and a number of renowned cultural institutions. But more than just a hub of activity, this area has seen great transformation as we witness the results of a cultural renaissance.
Welcome to one of my favorite districts in the City of Toronto, one I like to call the Museum District. You'll notice that it's very busy here. Lots of traffic, lots of noise, there's lots of building going on. This is all part of the cultural renaissance of the City of Toronto as many of its centres are being rebuilt.
The Museum District includes the busy intersection of Bloor Street West and Queen's Park, with different sections of the University of Toronto campus on both the east and west sides.
We're standing in front of what originally was the campus of McMaster University and is now the home of the Royal Conservatory of Music. The first building you see behind me with the large brick and stone is part of the campus and was originally called McMaster Hall.
Founded in 1886, the Royal Conservatory of Music eventually moved to its current location in 1962. The structure is typical of the late Victorian era and includes a combination of two architectural styles. The top of the building is constructed in a Gothic Revival fashion. It is a 19th century design based on medieval churches. This includes a pointed steeple and gables. The lower half of the building becomes more Romanesque in nature. Examples of this are seen by the lovely entranceway, with the Romanesque arches and polished granite columns.
The building off to the west side is done in black stone and is the entranceway to the concert hall of the Royal Conservatory of Music. It's done in what is called a Toronto style, a sort of new modernism. That is, it is rectangular using concrete, glass, and stone, all within the context of the surrounding space.
The smaller building off to the east side was originally a chapel called Castle Hall. It was commissioned by Elizabeth McMaster as part of the campus of McMaster University. In the mid-1990s, it was renovated and turned into what is now called Mazzolini Hall. This was in honor of the famous conductor Ettore Mazzolini, who was a principal of the Royal Conservatory of Music during the mid-1940s and 50s.
Besides the students who study in this building, there are over 500,000 students of the Royal Conservatory of Music who study all over the world following the conservatory syllabus. Coming around to this side gives you some idea of the size of the Royal Conservatory of Music and gives you an opportunity to see some of the problems that had to be dealt with by the architect Marianne McKenna. You'll notice, for instance, that she had to join the new building with the old building, and what she chose to do is build a series of bridges and literally bridge the old and the new. As well, you notice the brickwork, there's several colors. If you took each one of those individual bricks and walked them around the building, you would find that each one of those bricks matched one part of the stone or the brick. She also chose glass because that opens this very narrow space up. If she used a brick wall there, it would make this space very constricting and narrow. Behind me is the original 1914 portion of the Royal Ontario Museum. You will see a large Romanesque or curve-headed window that defines the style, Romanesque Revival.
Romanesque Revival is a very heavy style that has plenty of weight to its design. Along with the arched windows is a decorative scalloping that gives an impression of an opening despite being bricked over. Framing the top of the building is a long, thin frieze of white terracotta tiles. This ornate detailing gives it a Venetian style.
A well-known architectural critic, Patricia McHugh, claims this is one of the most beautiful examples of Venetian Byzantine style in the city. As we carry down through Philosopher's Walk in the University of Toronto campus, I thought we'd pause here for a moment and take a look at the original course of Tattle Creek, which ran through this ravine.
Tattle Creek ran about 6 kilometers long and had been increasingly used by the population and industries in the 1800s. Eventually, the creek became so polluted that a decision by the city was made to vault it over. And so in 1884, it was directed underground and converted into a sewer.
And it is actually still here directly underneath me in a bricked-in structure. You're standing in front of the Faculty of Law, University of Toronto, LaBelle House. It was originally the home of Sir Joseph LaBelle, and it is done in an Edwardian Georgian style. The most dominant feature of the building is this huge front doorway. LaBelle came to the city to work in the meatpacking business with a firm that made him very wealthy. There were many other meatpacking plants in the area, all of them specializing in back bacon or Canadian bacon, hence our name, Hogtown.
The house is built in a Georgian Edwardian style, using neoclassical elements such as the dominating entrance. It is marked by the bright colonnade and Corinthian capitals. In true Georgian form, the front entrance is given a sense of balance and symmetry. It is also a house equally grand on the inside as it is on the outside.
If you go in the central doors and go immediately to your right, you can see one of those grand rooms.
One of the true masterpieces can be found in this room. It is a rare and stunning example of Art Nouveau found on the ceiling, painted by Gustav Hahn.
It has in it a wonderful fireplace, all in carved oak. And carved in that oak is a poem that says, "Life is mostly froth and bubble. Two things stand as stone. Kindness in the trouble of others, courage in your own."